Does Jesus command his followers to carry a sword? It's really quite astonishing how there is virtually zero scriptural support for Christian-on-Christian bloodshed, let alone a Christian killing another person. Think in the New Testament of a Christian who kills a person. Can you think of a single Christian in the New Testament who kills a person? Why don't we have one story? Especially if it's okay. Especially if we have rights to do it. Is there one person in the New Testament, is there one single Christian in the New Testament who commits murder as a Christian? None? How about just one that kills? Do we have any examples of Christians that kill? You say, well, murder's too strong. Maybe somebody killed in self-defense. Name one New Testament story of self-defense killing. Is there any story in the New Testament of a single individual, a Christian, who kills another person? So what are we hanging our hat on when we assume that we can? The Old Testament? Are we going back to the Old Testament and assuming we can cherry pick from that? Does Jesus command his followers to carry a sword? Somebody says, well, Luke 22:36 says. We're going to examine that next time we get together. Luke 22:36. Because again, when we have this discussion with many, there are only a couple of verses that come up. And usually the only one that most people know is that Jesus told his disciples to go get a sword and sell their cloak. And so we're going to have some serious questions about that, because if he did, if Jesus told his disciples to carry a sword and you're not carrying one, guess what? If Jesus told his disciples to carry a sword because he wanted them to use it against people, then why don't we have a single instance of them using it? Did they fail to obey his command? Were they never put in harm's way? People will say, well, Jesus wanted them to carry because they were going to be in harm's way. Okay, were they never in harm's way? Well, they were. Why didn't they use their weapons? When did a disciple use one of the weapons? And if Jesus told the disciples to use the weapons and they didn't use the weapons, didn't they violate Jesus' command? Why don't we reprimand them for this? How do they get away with not using the sword when Jesus tells them to carry it? Why didn't they use it? So A, why did Jesus say, turn the other cheek to his disciples, and then later say, hey, go get a sword? We're going to talk about that in our next teaching. But also, if he did tell them to carry a sword, and he meant for them to carry a sword for the purposes of self-defense, why don't they use it? And another question is why didn't they teach others to do it? Did they totally neglect this? Why didn't they tell in any of their letters, hey, be sure to carry a sword, like Jesus told us, because you know it's really dangerous out there? Why did they just completely not even bring that up again? And why is that the only verse in the New Testament that people who walk around with guns use? Yeah, we got a lot of questions about this one. Luke 22.